Supersized Smackdown was a great show, and it had to be because it was going up against really stiff competition. We mean stiff in the literal sense of the word if you consider the Bryan Danielson vs Minoru Suzuki match. Not everything about Supersized Smackdown was great though, and we shall touch upon the negatives in this best and worst section. As always, you are welcome to share your thoughts, views, and comments in the space below. Did you think that WWE did a better job than AEW this week? Number 3, Best and Worst. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch tore it up on Supersized Smackdown, but Bianca Belair was on commentary for the Sasha Banks vs Becky Lynch match, which was everything that it needed to be. The only reason why this falls in the best and worst category is that the sight of Becky Lynch getting pinned just takes away a lot of the mystique associated with the current SmackDown Women's Champion. She has been portrayed as a bulletproof performer at the same level as Roman Reigns until now. But let that not distract us from the fact that Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch left it all in the ring at Supersized Smackdown. Just remember that Sasha Banks is an actress associated with the Star Wars franchise and Becky Lynch is a new mom. They could have put on an average performance at Supersized Smackdown and the crowd would still not have minded. But these women made the Supersized Smackdown main event feel like an occasion, not just another throwaway match. One would have to assume that AEW Rampage or not, they would have put on the same level of performance. However, we have to wonder if, distraction or not, Becky Lynch losing was a wise decision. Number 2, Best. Did you catch the Dudley Boyz tribute on Supersized Smackdown from the Street Profits? The Supersized Smackdown match between the Street Profits and the Usos was just as good as one would expect it to be. But what made the occasion even more special was the little nod to the Dudley Boyz from the Street Profits. There's no better way to get the tables than what we saw on Supersized Smackdown, with the special Eddie Guerrero tribute from Sasha Banks. It was a night filled with subtle messages. Number 2, Worst. So, Seth Rollins and Edge were in the same building, but came out separately. The promo from Edge at the top of Supersized Smackdown was great. It was personal, it was real, and it was the perfect setup for the upcoming Hell in a Cell match at WWE Crown Jewel. One has to wonder why a person that feels so strongly about Seth Rollins did not come out to interrupt his promo, which happened right in the middle of the ring. Did he go home? Number 1, Best. Brock Lesnar says one line which hits home. The final segment on Supersized Smackdown was the contract signing between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. It was absolutely hilarious to see Adam Pearce hurrying up the ring crew to set up the stage in the absence of any commercials. Brock Lesnar said just one line on Supersized Smackdown during the contract signing segment, but it laid the foundation fantastically for the upcoming match at Crown Jewel. Is Paul Heyman firmly on Roman Reigns' side, or is he allied with Brock Lesnar? Is Paul Heyman the wise man, or is he still Brock Lesnar's advocate? Number 1, Worst. The lowest point of Supersized Smackdown and maybe all of sports entertainment. Of course, the point of a heel is to get heat. But there's just something downright embarrassing about King Corbin and Madcap Moss. Then, Nakamura would come out to save the Supersized Smackdown audience from these ghastly jokes, but nothing ever happened. This was a pointless and aimless segment that really went nowhere at all. Bayley took a hilarious shot at Becky Lynch through a tweet during the supersized edition of Friday Night SmackDown. Lynch, the current SmackDown Women's Champion, famously refers to herself as Big Time Becky or Big Time Bex. On tonight's episode of the Blue Brand, the man faced Sasha Banks in the co-main event of the show. Bayley, who is super active on Twitter throughout this week's SmackDown, took a shot at Becky Lynch, calling her Big Time Idiot. Lynch and Banks had an absolutely incredible match tonight on the Blue Brand. The two women took each other to the limit in a high-action back-and-forth match that also had Bianca Belair on commentary. In the end, Sasha Banks shocked everyone as she defeated the man. This was Becky Lynch's first pinfall loss in over 29 months. She was last pinned by Charlotte Flair back at WWE Money in the Bank 2019. Becky Lynch made her long-awaited return to WWE at SummerSlam 2021 earlier this year. Her return was a debated topic as she went on to squash Bianca Belair at the pay-per-view to become the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Lynch was teasing her return to the company long before finally showing up at the biggest party of the summer. There were reports that she was supposed to return at WrestleMania 37 and face Bayley in an impromptu match. That didn't happen, and the role model was surprisingly not a part of the match card of the show of shows, only appearing in a short segment with the Bella Twins. Speaking to Alex McCarthy of TalkSport, Becky Lynch confirmed the rumors that there were plans for her to face Bayley at WrestleMania 37. While the man is back on SmackDown now, the latter is out injured. Lynch is set to defend her SmackDown Women's Championship next week at Crown Jewel in a triple threat match against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. With her getting drafted to Monday Night Raw earlier this month, the possibility of a title change at the upcoming pay-per-view can't be denied. Brock Lesnar has developed some great friendships over the years during his time in the WWE. One such name is that of five-time WWE champion Kurt Angle. However, Angle revealed that he never wanted to have an MMA fight with Lesnar out of respect. Speaking on his podcast The Kurt Angle Show, the Olympic gold medalist revealed that even though he wouldn't have wanted to fight Lesnar, he still would have done it for the right money. "I would not want to fight Brock out of respect for him and the friendship we had," Angle said, "but if the money were right, I know he would want to fight me, and I know I would want to fight him too. It is all about money. Sometimes it kind of sucks, you can't take that personally because you're trying to provide money to take care of them. That comes first before friendship. So I'm sure Brock and I, if they would've gave us the right figure, we probably would've went at it, said Kurt Angle. Brock Lesnar left WWE and joined UFC as an MMA fighter. Lesnar won the UFC Heavyweight Championship during his stint in UFC as well. While Lesnar was working for UFC, Angle was also not a part of WWE. Many fans expected a possible MMA bout between the two, but it didn't happen. In the early 2000s, Brock Lesnar had a very entertaining program with Kurt Angle. The two shared great on-screen chemistry and gave fans some great matches. The two men tore the house down at WrestleMania 19 when Lesnar beat Kurt Angle to become the WWE champion. WWE chairman Vince McMahon was a commentator in the early days of his career. Vince is still famous for being in the ears of his commentators throughout the WWE shows and guiding them. On the recent episode of his namesake show, Pat McAfee talked about what it's like to have Vince McMahon in his ears all the time. He thanked his three WWE bosses, Bruce Pritchard, Kevin Dunn, and WWE chairman and CEO, Vince McMahon. They've been all very nice to me, and I'm very thankful. Other people probably experienced something different. I'm just gonna tell you, Bruce Pritchard is awesome. Kevin Dunn, also awesome, he's in my ear every single show, and by the way, Vince McMahon in my ear, awesome. There's other things where sometimes I feel like he is in a groove where he'll just ask me a question in the middle of the show, and he wants me to answer it live, obviously. Then sometimes Cole will be in the middle of something or even a wrestler will be speaking, and he's like, cut them off. And I want to tell Cole, I think there's something much better that could be separate. It's coming from a voice inside of my brain right now though. I want to let you know it's awesome. It is amazing. I enjoy the hell out of it, Pat McAfee added. McAfee discussed an incident from last week's Smackdown when he got wrapped up in the wires during a ringside brawl between Seth Rollins and WWE Hall of Famer Edge. Vince McMahon had a good laugh about it. You know, at the end of Smackdown, because that thing is clipped to my sport coat, and it was wrapped around his foot. So I mean, it was like dragging me a little bit. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna deal with this at all. And I go running, and I put the other one on as soon as I put the headset back on. There is a pretty good Vince laugh in my ear, McAfee said. Pat McAfee has previously spoken about the praise he received from Vince McMahon. Apart from being a great commentator, Pat McAfee is also famous for his skills inside the squared circle. He gave the fans some instant classics during his rivalry with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. Becky Lynch has reacted to Edge teasing a confrontation with her at Seth Rollins' house. With Rollins invading Edge's home a while ago, the WWE Hall of Famer is determined to teach him a lesson. On tonight's edition of Smackdown, Edge made quite a bold threat to Seth Rollins and stated that he could invade his home and confront Becky Lynch. The SmackDown Women's Champion noted WWE's tweet highlighting Edge's comments. In reaction, Becky Lynch posted a photo of her in-ring segment with Edge on SmackDown 1000 in 2018. Edge and Seth Rollins' feud has become too personal to be settled in a regular contest. The two men are bound to brawl inside Hell in a Cell on October 21st at WWE Crown Jewel. On SmackDown 1000, Becky Lynch and Edge engaged in a heated conversation. The latter tried to convince Lynch of her mistake by ruining her friendship with Charlotte Flair in pursuit of the title. The man wasn't ready to listen to reason and told Edge to leave her ring. She also told him to be careful not to injure his neck again. The segment ended with a brawl between Lynch and Flair, with Edge watching with a disappointed look on his face. Fans might remember that Edge and Beth Phoenix were indirectly responsible for Becky and Seth's relationship going public. In 2019, Lynch was involved in a heated Twitter feud with the Hall of Famer couple and confirmed her relationship with Rollins in one of her tweets. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins are two of the biggest heels in WWE. Lynch has always welcomed challenges, and she was certainly not thrilled with what Edge said tonight. Who will come out of the unforgiving structure with their hands held high? Sound off in the comments.